Hello everyone, I hope that you're all having a great day. To follow up on my top 5 strongest and weakest subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3's Patch 8, I thought it'd be great to do what's most important for us and the most fun subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3's Patch 8. This of course is in the stress test right now, and I'm going to be breaking down what I think to be the most enjoyable subclasses. Some of them aren't the strongest, and that's okay, because what matters most is having a good time in Faerun. So just a quick breakdown of all the different subclasses and their little niches that they each hold. So the Arcane Archer, probably the best archer in the game. You get 10 different arcane arrows that you can enhance your attacks with, and it's very well buffed from the D&D version of this. So I really like the Arcane Archer, but I don't think this is one of our most fun subclasses. We also got the College of Glamour Bard, which allows you to use bonus action abilities to use command on one target and give your allies temporary health points and the ability to charm targets. Not super strong. I still think the Sword Bard's a little better. The Hexblade is interesting. This is becoming one of the best single level dips. Previously that was the War Cleric, but now this gives you the ability to use charisma for your attack rolls at level 1. Pretty cool and great for multi-classing. We also have ourselves the Death Domain Cleric here, which allows you to apply a cantrip to 2 targets, ignore resistances to necrotic damage, and you get some fun different abilities related to necrotic damage and those spells that you get as well. The Shadow Magic Sorcerer gives you this awesome good boy here, the Shadow Mastiff dog here, and it's actually pretty cool because the dog itself can attack targets with its ominous bite here, which will apply an omen on a target. Whenever a target has an omen, maybe it'll be a fire type damage, and then you have to deal fire type damage and you'll gain a sorcery point. So it's a cool little relationship there. What's also cool about the dog is that it can splinter into multiple dogs, and the dogs can splinter into even more dogs, so you can have a ton of dogs. It's actually really cool and one of my favorite subclasses that got released. Not the strongest, but it's still very fun. We also got ourselves Swashbuckler Rogue, which gives you like pocket sands. You can throw dirt in people's eye. You also get the Flick of the Wrist, which allows you to throw your weapon at a target and disarm them. You get some fun different bonus actions from this. You also get the Vicious Mockery cantrip as a bonus action, so this can make some cool subclasses. If you mix this with like a bard, you can do an action Vicious Mockery and then a bonus action Vicious Mockery for the ultimate disser. We also got the Oath of the Crown Paladin, great defender. This can make all targets get disadvantage on attack rolls against other targets other than yourself in a large area, so they'll all come to attack you. You also get Spirit Guardians. There's a lot to love with this one. Circle of the Stars Druid. This is cool. It gives you bonus action abilities to do Dazzling Breath, shoot a radiant arrow at targets, or do a healing. It's got a lot of different things going for it. It's pretty fun, I would say. You also obviously have the wild shape forms to fall back on if you really need them, but it's a cool caster. The Giant Barbarian. I think this class is awesome. You get the ability to turn large when you rage. In addition to this, you get Elemental Cleaver, which will give you elemental damage type on your weapon attacks, and you can throw your weapon and get extra damage on it because it'll apply the throwing property to it. I love this class. And we also got ourselves a Bladesinging Wizard, which is a cool one with lots of unique animations. You got the ability to use weapons with this, and you can also get an extra attack. It's a cool hybrid. You also can increase your armor class. You can do the Blade Song Climax, which will heal people. It's got a lot of fun things going for it as well. The Swarmkeeper Ranger. This one's pretty cool. You get yourself a swarm that surround your character and carry you around. It'll also apply additional damage when you attack targets. I think this one's pretty interesting, and the particle effects that it gets are very interesting. And the Way of the Drunken Master Monk. This is, again, not a very powerful class, but it's a fun one because the animations are cool. You can throw a bottle up and smash it over someone's head. It also has some different effects where you can make a target drunk and then sober them up, and it'll deal extra damage. You also can get your key points back by getting drunk. So there's a lot of cool things going on with this subclass. So yeah, I would say it's pretty cool. However, we're first going to start off with the Shadow Magic Sorcerer. So this at level 1, you get to choose the subclass, but you get the dog at level 6. So what this ends up looking like in actual leveling, I'll show off all the abilities and what makes it so fun. So you get superior dark vision here, and there's a special darkness spell you can cast and hide out in, which is actually very powerful. I showed off in the build guide for this, as you can hide out in the darkness and then literally just keep casting from it. And there's a Strength of the Grave, which whenever you go to 0 health, you come back up with 1. So nice little survivability there. At level 3, we get the Eyes of the Darkness, so this gives you the darkness spell. And it also gives you the Eyes of the Darkness, Eyes of the Dark Darkness, which is a sorcery point version of it, which doesn't use your spell slot up. And with this, it'll blind all targets, but you can also just hide out in it because you get the ability to see through darkness. This is huge because that gives you a huge defensive boost at level 3, so you can just cast this, hide out, and you're safe. It's actually pretty powerful and a lot of fun because then you can start stacking up different characters like a warlock with the Devil's Sight, which lets you see a magical darkness as well, so you can have everyone all in your darkness staying safe. At level 6, this is when we get the Hound of the Ill Omen here, the bonus action and 3 sorcery point spell. And this allows you to summon forth a creature of darkness. You can do this outside of combat, so I'd recommend doing that. As the Hound is permanent, so you summon it in, you're good to go. It's really, really fun. I love this. And once we make our way to level 11, we get this really cool ability to Shadow Walk, which is basically Misty Step that does not require a spell slot. You can teleport into the shadows. The next spell you cast will benefit from Distance Spell without costing any sorcery points. So you can use this to retreat, and then you have a 50% increase to the range of your spells. So you're able to hit people with like a magic missile across the map. It's crazy. And it doesn't require you to use your sorcery points. So anytime that you want to use any of your like if you want to use distance spell, just use this and teleport away into the shadows. That is really effective. So I think that this makes it a very fun class to play because you get a lot of survivability, as the darkness is going to help you from hiding and getting damage. And if you get downed, you will come back up, so you can use that to kind of plot your escape. But the Hound of Ill Omen is my favorite part of this, so whenever you summon it in, it's going to keep regenerating sorcery points for you because it'll attack people with that ominous bite to give you that omen, which you can then attack them with a spell. You do want to have a variety of damage types because it could be necrotic, it could be lightning, it could be thunder damage. So having a nice variety of spells will allow you to cover for whatever Nimbus is going to apply to them. But the thing is, if let's say your dog gets attacked, it'll splinter off into another dog if it wasn't hit with necrotic or it wasn't hit with radiant damage. And then let's say they come in and cleave both of them, both dogs will split into 2 more dogs. And if you get hit with another cleave, they'll split off into 2 more dogs. It's crazy. You can use healing to keep this alive. It only has 42 health, so it's not very high in health points. However, it's pretty strong. So yeah, I think the Hound of Ill Omen is pretty cool. It has 14 dexterity, so it does have only 18 armor class. So yeah, that's kind of something you got to keep in mind. Obviously you want to keep it alive as much as possible, but it's pretty cool. I love the dog. It's fun hiding in the shadows, having your dog going around biting people and then casting spells to get your sorcery points back. It's a very fun play style, and I think this is one of the most fun. I'm not doing these exactly in order because personally I think that this one would be the most fun for me, but I'll be covering the top 5 most fun in no specific order. Next, we got ourselves the Way of the Drunken Master Monk. Like other monks, they're pretty fun to play, but what I think makes the Drunken Master Monk so much fun is you get a lot of role-playing aspects out of it. So, like the cheeky tipple here, so you're immune to the negative effects of being drunk, and once per day when you drink alcohol, you can regain half your key points rounded down. So this is actually really nice because it actually incorporates drinking into the game, which is something you probably never even did in Baldur's Gate 3 because there's no real incentive to do it. Now there is, and I think that's pretty cool. You also get proficiency in performance, and you get the very cool Drunken technique, which punches quick succession, and you get yourself additional movement speed. Now, the attack animations for this subclass are phenomenal, and I'll show that after we go through some of the abilities of this class, because I think they really make it something special. So at level 4, we get Soul Fall, but we also get the Intoxicating Strike, which can potentially get the target that we're attacking drunk. You throw a bottle up into the air and punch it into their face. It is funny. So you got the action and bonus action versions of this, and it's actually a very cool weapon action. Another fun one is you get redirect attacks. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can spend 1 key point and a reaction to make the attack hit a new target. So if they miss you, you can swing them around and make it hit somebody else, and I think that is really cool. And you also get the leap to your feet, so when you're knocked prone, you can stand up and it only uses 1.5 meters of your movement speed. At level 7, we get the Life of the Party, so every time Intoxicating Strike hits, the monk gains Life of the Party, which increases your armor class and attack rolls against drunk targets. This effect can stack, and you get upwards of a +5 to your armor class, which is actually pretty good. Once we make it to level 9, we get the Sobering Realization, which does your bludgeoning damage and additional psychic damage, and you hit a drunk target, sobering them up, dealing bonus psychic damage. This also loses the Life of the Party on yourself, so this does take an action. The damage isn't crazy on it, but this will sober them up and give you that additional psychic damage, which can be doubled if you have the Resonance Stone. And once we make our way to level 11, we get the Drunkard's Luck. When you make an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, and have disadvantage on the roll, you can spend 2 key points to get rid of that disadvantage, which is actually kind of effective. The big thing for me is the attack animation, so using the Intoxicating Strike here. Let's use Luck of the Firearms to get rid of it. But you throw that bottle up into the air and then punch it into them. It looks hilarious. So you got that. You can knock them down. You also got the Drunken technique. So cool attack animations, but whenever you load into this is what's most funny about it. So it reminds me, I've said this before, of Rock Lee in Naruto whenever he's fighting Kimimaro and he gets drunk. That's perfect. So you want to get them drunk whenever with this attack here. It'll stack up your life of the party, giving you increased armor class. So pretty cool. And then you got your sobering realization, which you can apply on somebody, and it'll give you additional psychic damage. We unfortunately knocked out Gale there with that. But yeah, this intoxicating strike just looks so funny. I love this attack, throwing that bottle up. This alone makes it so much fun. Then also just loading in the spell and just the way your character moves around is also pretty funny. So I really enjoy this subclass because you can get them drunk with it, and then you can sober them up. The monk itself is pretty fun, but I think that this is one of the more fun ones. I personally prefer the open hand monk due to how strong it is, but this is still pretty cool, you gotta admit. On the topic of cool attack animations, the Bladesinging Wizard is top of this. I've said this before, when this was first revealed, I knew the Bladesinging Wizard was going to be very interesting in how it looks. It gives you the ability to cast spells through your sword, and I thought that in itself was cool, but the way you attack with the rapier is actually just mind-blowing how cool it looks. So you get to choose your spells as per normal as a wizard, but you get to choose a Bladesinger's weapon. So you got the choice of a dagger, a sickle, which is cool because the sickle is highly just, there's none of them in the base game that are good. Short sword, rapier, scimitar, or longsword. I want to show you the rapier because I think that this has the best attack animations for it. But what benefits the Bladesinging Wizard, you get the Blade Song. So this gives you the ability to increase your armor class. So I'll show what that looks like here. So you can invoke the Blade Song. You can't have a shield equipped with this. It gives you a +2 to your armor class, movement speed increased by 3 meters, you get an advantage in acrobatics, and a +2 to constitution saving throws. So you get better at holding your concentration. You can only wear light armor, and you must be wielding one of the special blade singing weapons to be able to apply this. At level 6, we get ourselves the extra attack, similar to the sword bar. It's a little delayed from level 5, but it fits perfectly because at level 5 you get fireball, lightning bolt, and haste. So this is really fun because now you can choose between attacking twice or spell casting. And once we get to level 10, we get the Song of Defense. So when you take damage when we're in our Blade Song, if you can expend a spell slot, and it'll prevent damage equal to 5 times that spell's level. So a level 6 spell slot would reduce 30 damage, which is really good. Don't waste your level 6 spell on that, but it's still a cool option. And yeah, you get all the cool, fun spells that a wizard gets. Lots of utility, versatility, and all that. And you get obviously the most powerful spells with Odaluk's Freezing Sphere and Wall of Ice that you normally wouldn't get as any other class. So in and itself, that's obviously quite fun. But what makes this the most fun is whenever we go ahead here and use our special Blade Song attack. So we go into our Blade Song here, invoke the Blade Song, glowing eyes and all. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the cool weapon attacks that you get with this. We also get the Blade Song Climax, so you can unleash this. It'll heal targets, which is pretty fun. So just look at this attack animation. That is so cool. The little poke, the leg kick. I think that is super flashy. There's nothing like this in the game. I think this just looks hilarious. And what's even better, if you have the critical hit ring, it'll pause this when you have your leg kicked up like that. So I think that this in itself, giving the option between spells and all that is really cool too. But being able to not only attack like that, but you can also heal. You see here we're holding we got a little book there, and we're going to invoke the Blade Song. So this is going to apply healing in an area of effect, or it can also damage targets, removing our Blade Song. So we got a few different charges for that. We also got the classic Arcane Recovery, allows you to recover a level 5 spell, so you can Cone of Cold a few times. But that Blade Song Climax is really fun. So yeah, basically with this, you want to go around attacking. You do have different weapons that'll have different animations. So like if we had a dagger here, you still get that little kickback too. Short swords as well, but other weapons will give you different option or different animations. So here's a short sword, got that kick again. But if we were to apply something like a long sword, like Fowler Alluve here, it doesn't have that same kick, but it still looks pretty cool. So you got that big sweeping, and then you lift yourself up. So the Bladesinging Wizard, I think it's one of the most fun subclasses because you get all the choices of spells that you get from a wizard, but you also get the ability to cast spells, and you get a nice boost to your defense. It's actually a pretty tanky version of the wizard, so that in itself is pretty fun. I think Abjuration Wizard is a little bit stronger, but I still think that this one is very, very fun. Now, next is an interesting one because I don't think it's that strong. The Ranger isn't that great outside of Gloomstalker, multiclass with like Thief and the Fighter. However, this gives you the Gathered Swarm, which I think is actually a pretty fun mechanic, and it's very cool for a new playthrough. So you get the Praise Scent, which gives you additional damage whenever you mark with Hunter's Mark. You also get the Mage Hand and Fairy Fire spells and cantrips. But we get the Gathered Swarm. So you get the Legion of Bees, which does piercing damage and can push targets. The Cloud of Jellyfish, which can do lightning damage and shock them. And also the Flurry of Moths, which does psychic damage and can blind your target. So I'll show off what these end up looking like, because each of them comes with their own unique effects. And I think that this makes it for a very interesting class. So here's the little moths, just little pink butterfly kind of things floating around our character. They look nice. I personally prefer the jellyfish, but I'll show you that here. So you can change your swarm anytime that you level up. So if we want to go with the bees here, we can always swap that at our next level. So then whenever we get to our next level, you can see here, now we have all the bees around us, the bees. So yeah, the birds and the bees here. The bees aren't that strong. They do piercing damage, which can actually be good because it scales up to 1d8. But if you got like the Ballast armor, that doubles their damage. You can also double the damage of lightning damage and psychic damage. So there's 3 damage types that can be all doubled in this game, which is actually pretty cool. So at level 5 here, we get the web spell, which is interesting because you're probably not going to use that very often. It's a level 2 spell slot, and it takes a full action. This can create web surfaces. You can do this outside of combat to set up if you get into a fight. You get the classic extra attack. And with this, I'll also swap out our swarm here and show you the jellyfish, which is my personal favorite. And you got obviously all the benefits a ranger gets, but look at these little jellyfish. I think this one is the coolest. I am a big fan of the jellyfish because whenever we go to attack with them, they do apply additional damage on your target. So if we go to attack here, you got the Cloud of Jellyfish teleports. You can use this to carry you to a new location. So then it gives you like basically a Misty Step version of it, the jellyfish glow, and then move you around. That's pretty fancy. But whenever you attack with it, you can also apply the Shocking Sting or the attack. So you can use this to shock your target, or you can use this to attack your target. Does a little bit extra damage there. It's pretty fun. So the shocking one can shock the target and eventually make them drop their weapon, as you get additional effects whenever you level this up. So it's actually pretty cool. At level 7, you get the Writhing Tide. You can condense part of your swarm into a focused mass that lifts you up 3 meters and prevents you from slipping or getting hit by surface effects. So that can actually protect you in a few different instances. It's not broken, it's not overpowered, it's just there, and it's kind of cool. Although the ranger does get the difficult terrain, no longer slows them down, so you may only want to use it for like ice surfaces and a few others. At level 9, you get the Gaseous form, so this can make it so you can fit through small openings, and it's very hard for you to get damaged, which is kind of cool. But at level 11, this is when you get the Mighty Swarm. So your swarm will now do a 1d8 instead of 1d6 damage, and it gets an additional feature. And whenever you move around, it gives you +2 to your armor class with them. So you can boost up your overall defensiveness with this, and I think that in itself is pretty cool. So I swapped out to the butterflies again just to show this off. So we'll just go with our attack there. So this can blind and slow your target now, and slow is obviously really good. So with the butterflies, they give you that effect there. And then if we were to swap it out, I'll show you what the bees end up looking like, as each of these little bonus abilities is pretty fun to play around with. So here we're at level 12 now, and then we'll attack to get our Legion of Bees to attack, and they will now push them back and knock them prone. So pretty cool. You can shock and disarm, knock them prone and push them away, or with the moths you can blind and slow them. I think the moths are the best, but the jellyfish is my personal favorite. I just think it's cool to have like this like swarm following your character at all times. It's very awesome. Now, the most fun subclass is the only one that I can guarantee say that I think this is the most fun. I personally prefer the Shadow Sorcerer, but I personally think that the Giant Barbarian is the most fun subclass. So you can get Vaprax's Greed, which is a lesser deity for the orcs. But the big thing is the Giant's Rage, which gives you increases your size and also doubles the damage on your throwing attacks, which is something that's really a heavy focus of this, because you get the Elemental Cleaver, which is going to enhance your overall throwing attacks, and it's actually really cool because you can infuse it with an elemental damage type. At level 5, we get the Boot of the Giants, which you can kick your target away, and it depends on your athletic skill. The higher chance if you're invisible or hidden, so you can go in, kick someone, and it moves them. At level 6, we get the Elemental Cleaver, and this is what it's talking about. So whenever you're in your rage, you can add acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage to your attacks, and the weapon will also become a throwing weapon, so that you can turn any weapon in the game now into a throwing weapon, which I think is really fun, because previously you only had select options that you could use. This extends that to now cover a bunch of different options, which I think is actually really cool. At level 10, we also get the Mighty Impel. Throw a creature or object that is medium-sized or smaller, so you can go around throwing people around. Pretty funny. So we're going to turn the Baldur and Giant Slayer into a throwing weapon, it can also make ourselves large, and then we can enlarge ourselves again. And if you're a Durgar, you can also enlarge yourself another time, which makes your character absolutely massive. And I'll show you exactly what this looks like in combat, because it is a pretty fun subclass. So a little pre-game prep: use your giant form anytime you know you're gonna get yourself into a fight, then you'll make yourself large. But that's not all, because once we get ourselves into combat, then we can make ourselves even larger. So you don't want to use up your bonus action, because that's going to be the way that you get into your rage form. So you get into combat here, and then we're going to use our mighty giant rage, which will make yourself even larger. So rage, and there we go. So what we can do now is we got the elemental cleaver, so we can add damage types to our weapons. So acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Now what's cool about this is the snowburst ring will actually work alongside this, so we can go with the cold damage to add cold to our attack here. And what we want to be doing is using our throwing attack. So we'll be going ahead here and throwing this at someone, and it'll actually deal a good amount of damage, which is crazy. So it'll return to our hand here. We got our giant slayer back, and you just continue to throw with it. It does have the cold damage on attack, so you don't have to use like a weapon attack. We can see there we made an ice surface around them, which is actually pretty funny. So we'll just go with another throwing attack here. You can also throw targets, so we do have like our mighty impel there, which we can pick someone up and throw them. Unfortunately, can't do that at the current moment, because we do have a we did use our bonus action to get into rage, but that's something that we would do on our next turn. So I guess we'll try to create as much chaos as possible at making ice surfaces in a couple areas, so that they'll hopefully slip and fall with it. But the cool animations are on our weapon here now, so you can always swap the damage types around if you find there's something else that'd be more beneficial to you. So we got ourselves into a bit of a sticky situation here, but the nice thing is whenever we attack, we're going to create these ice surfaces as well. Critical miss, I may as well go with our reckless attack here, because that made it so that we landed it and knocked someone prone because of the ice. So perfect timing. With this, we want to obviously be setting up as much ice surfaces as possible with this class, but we also got this mighty impel here where we can just throw people to their demise. So he won't let us throw him off the off there, but you can throw them onto ice surfaces and stuff like that there. So we slipped and fell on it too somehow. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, you want to be throwing your weapon as much as possible. Tavern Brawler is a really big feat here, but creating all these ice surfaces is huge. So this is just something that I like to do with my builds. I'm a big cold damage enjoyer, so you can see there creating all these ice surfaces is really effective. We might slip on this, but nice, we saved on it. You want to try and pull them through the ice as much as possible, because then they'll have the chance of slipping and falling. But you get the idea. This is what I think to be the most fun subclass in Baldur's Gate 3's Patch 8. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.